Hello, and welcome to this edition of EB-5 Investment Report. I'm Amy Rios. Recently, we attended Artisan Business Group's third annual EB-5 Investment Summit, Dealmakers Conference, at the Hilton Hotel and Meeting Center in Long Beach, California. The purpose of the event was to link service providers, developers, regional center executives, immigration attorneys, and more to network and exchange information on their EB-5 ventures. We were able to speak with many of the conference's speakers and attendees about some pressing topics in the EB-5 industry. Brian Sue, founder of Artisan Business Group, told us about the importance of the event and the recent expansion of his company.
Yeah, this is our third annual EB-5 Dealmakers conference. And basically, we're trying to bring all the service providers with developers, regional centers together so that we can discuss what we are doing right now and what we are going to do in the future in terms of the project, in terms of capital raise overseas. We definitely are expanding our topics into Chinese wealth management and the Chinese investment in the U.S. real estate.
We also spoke with the VIP speaker of the conference, Ron Klasko of Klasko Immigration and Nationality Law, one of the leading immigration law firms in the EB-5 industry. He sees many changes coming to the EB-5 program in the next year and told us what his crystal ball predicts.
Well, one of the big things that's happened, there's a lot that I see changing in the next year, but one of the biggest changes is going to be that they're moving the whole EB-5 adjudications unit from California to Washington. There'll be new people in charge. Virtually everybody who's going to be deciding these cases will be new. The decisions will be made by economists, not by immigration service examiners, which hopefully will be good. And there's what I call short-term pain and long-term gain. I think the short-term pain will be until they actually, get on board, get trained, get accustomed to what they're doing. There may be even more delays, but I think in the end it'll be run by a unit that really wants this program to work. And I think that especially since they're going to be running California and Washington concurrently and eventually getting rid of California, in the short term some of the delays will be made up by the fact that there will be twice the manpower working on the cases.
Michael Gibson, Managing Director of USAdvisors.org, gave us his perspective on immigration broker fees and the case against Intercontinental Regional Center Trust of Chicago.
Well, I think taking a step back, there's a broader picture, and it started not just with the Chicago project. The problem started years ago with some of the misrepresentations being made by other brokers offshore concerning the safety and security of these investments. And I think what the investors didn't understand, they rely on these statements by the brokers because, to be honest with you, although they're technically treated as sophisticated investors, most of the foreign nationals who apply for the EB-5 visa are really not fully understanding what the risks are. And I think that they rely on the offshore agent to guide them through the process. And what happened with Chicago was that there were so many agents involved, and they all said this was a great project. It had backing by not only the state through the governor, but through the city and the development, and they were showing the letters of agreement with the hotels and all of the big plans, and they were pulling in some very large, even people from the United States who were coming over and affirming the project. And I think they used that as a guidance to invest in the project, and ultimately it failed because absolutely none of the things that they were saying were true. So I think when it comes to investor protection, and that's really the principal mandate of the SEC, they're trying to determine, are the projects being marketed in a way that's responsible, that offers the investors adequate protection against fraud and misrepresentation. So with Chicago, it was troubling. Unlike the Mamtech plant and perhaps, which is still under litigation, the New Orleans case and some of the other projects which have failed, these were smaller in scale and they had a handful of investors. With Chicago, you had hundreds of investors and dozens of agents in China promoting it. And I think they were all saying pretty much the same thing, which was it was a safe investment and there was really not much to worry about. And I think exactly the opposite was true.
Now, in 2000 SEC enforcement action against Intercontinental Regional Center, do you believe that regional centers should now disclose all payments made to overseas immigration brokers?
I think it's a best practice. Certainly, if it's a Reg D offering, they should file the Form D, and in the Form D, they should list all the payments, commissions made, whether they're to brokers or to finders. I think that's a good practice. It's one that we advocate. We like to see a more transparent marketplace. I think the problem is the investors aren't aware of the huge commissions being paid to these agents. And the problem there isn't necessarily so much in the size of the commission, but it's in the dual conflict or the conflicts of interest. And if you have an agent who is receiving $150,000, you really have to question what is the integrity of their investment advice that they're giving to their client. Mm-hmm. So I think the concern is more not necessarily on the size of the commission, but it's in influencing the outcome and perhaps getting their clients into investments which are not safe.
Johnny Lau, Vice President of International Marketing for Imperium West, told us why it was important for her to attend the conference.
Of course, one of the most important thing is always keep up the speed with the industry. I would like to know what's going on, like previously what I heard from Mr. Ron Klasko about the trend prediction. Of course, it's very beneficial for us as far as making what's our next step and how's the industry trend to be. And number two, currently we have a pipeline of projects. Right now, I have a very, very good project that is has a lot of unique characters, and they're very secured. We have a very good due diligence system that we certify our project. And so this is a Palm Spring Dolce Hotel project. I'm just getting ready to kick off for marketing in China and worldly. And I was hoping to looking for network connections and get some marketing warm up to do.
Bernard Woolsdorf of Woolsdorf Immigration Law Group told us why the EB-5 program is so important to the United States and what markets besides China have been taking an interest in the program.
Well, over the past few years, America's always had this, particularly after 9/11, complicated view towards immigration. But remember, America is a nation of immigrants, and at the end of the day, immigrants come here to work hard, and particularly in the EB-5 arena, it's about job creation, and it's about bringing in capital. Now, who can criticize job creation and bringing in capital? This is good for America. We need capital and we need jobs. So this program is particularly good right now. And, you know, America is still the best country in the world to live in. People want to come here. And one of the big drivers is the opportunity to educate your children. Mm-hmm. I'm a proud parent of 4 lovely children. And the simple bottom line is we want our kids to go to good colleges. And America's got the best colleges. So that's the reason people want to come here.
So you mentioned that 70 to 80% of the investors are from China. Do you see other markets opening up?
Well, absolutely. The BRIC nations right now are just becoming incredibly popular. Of course, we know that's Brazil. When Putin got reelected, my phone was ringing off the hook with Russians. India's becoming very popular. And, of course, my native South Africa as well. And the C for China, we know how popular that is. By the way, other markets, Korea, Taiwan, Japan. But quite frankly, people who can afford to make a $500,000 investment, you know, that's a decent price to pay for the privilege of living in America.
Now, what is the biggest challenges that the regional centers face that you represent?
Well, you know, the government over the last few months has been trying to find its feet. The question of job creation and indirect job creation has been a little bit of a challenge, but we're expecting a new memo to come out in the next few weeks, and we think that the rules are pretty clear right now, and the swimming is pretty safe, but you know, there's always going to be some challenge, some bureaucrats going to find issues, but we think it's quite transparent right now, and the program's probably never been better than at the present time.
And lastly, John Lee of EB5Supermarket.com spoke of the importance of American EB-5 stakeholders knowing how social media operates in China.
In China, they have many different ways to market, and especially the Chinese immigration agent play a big role. Mm-hmm. However, from the marketing side, my company is really to help them to get them branding, the name out, and and promote their project across the internet.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face in market industry as a whole?
Social media, I mean, it's really became more and more important now. Mm-hmm. And as far as I just talking to one of the investors just in the meeting, they have been using social media to exchange the status about their application. I'm very surprised about, however, you can from this point you can understanding the investor have been more and more connect each other to do the homework together and do the whole research together. So that's why as a social media, you have to know how they operate in China, and you need to be involved as well. Yeah.
Artisan Business Group's third annual EB-5 Dealmakers Conference attracted many industry professionals in forums including panel discussions which featured our very own Dwight Cromie. Topics addressed included EB-5 program development, wisdom for new kids on the block, and regional center designation trends, to name a few. The conference was touted as the largest EB-5 deal-making event in 2013. I'm Amy Rios, and I want to thank you for watching this edition of EB-5 Investment Report.